Here are 5 big things affecting the Bitcoin price and cryptocurrency investors this week. You will not believe number 5. Click subscribe for 1 video per day, keeping you informed about crypto. And let's start. Number 1, the government shutdown is officially averted for now. Biden signs government funding bill averting shutdown crisis, meaning the U.S. government will stay open.
President Biden signing the new government funding bill here at home just minutes ago in Washington. That's after Congress scrambled to pass the spending plan at the end of a roller coaster few days on Capitol Hill. It all started with a bipartisan deal to avoid a government shutdown, a plan that was tanked by President-elect Trump and billionaire Elon Musk, forcing lawmakers to go back to the drawing board, coming up with a plan that failed on Thursday, followed by another plan that passed the House last night and then the Senate early this morning.
And last time this happened, a government shutdown was averted. There was heavy debt ceiling talk in the news, like here and like here. Bitcoin went crazy. Let's go over this. But essentially, what was included in this bill, why it got passed. The package funds the government at current levels through March 14th, so just a few more months, and includes $100 billion in disaster aid and a 1-year farm bill. So money for farmers, money for disaster relief, but did not include a debt limit extension demanded by President-elect Donald Trump. Donald Trump wanted this, he didn't get it, although Donald Trump isn't even in office yet, but he wanted the Republicans to really push for this.
Donald Trump had demanded that the debt ceiling be included in these government funding talks, and any kind of temporary funding of the government should include a raising of the debt ceiling, which doesn't come due until the spring. But Donald Trump said he didn't want that fraught political issue to come up in the early months of his second term. And he said if the debt ceiling was going to be risen at all, it should be in the final days of Joe Biden's term. So he pushed Republicans to do that, but that was never going to get the support of Democrats, who have said they believe they want to use the debt ceiling, which is, again, the cap on how much the U.S. can borrow to pay its bills. They want to use that fraught political issue as a potential bargaining chip, as Republicans have in previous Democratic administrations. So linking the debt ceiling, all of this, was always going to be a non-starter for Democrats, and Republicans and Speaker Johnson needed Democratic votes to get this over the goal line. That is ultimately why Republicans took this out of the package that passed last night.
So number 1, let's look back on history. How many of you were subscribed to Altcoin Daily like here and like here? I mean, literally, if you were watching Altcoin Daily about a year and 3-4 months ago, you remember this video breaking. Bitcoin pumping after government shutdown averted, 45-day warning. This was right here. I'll play you just 45 seconds of this video.
I have very good news for the country. Democrats and Republicans have come to an agreement, and the government will remain open. We will have avoided a shutdown.
Breaking. A government shutdown has been averted with just hours to spare. Congress passes a 45-day funding bill which funds the government through now November 17th. And with the crypto market rallying in response to this, how will this 45-day extension affect you? The price of Bitcoin was $27,000 when I made this video. And the reason Bitcoin tends to go up on just talks of raising the US debt ceiling, well, number 1, Bitcoin, generally speaking, tends to go up given enough time either way. This is basic just supply and demand. It's a scarce supply asset, and demand is only increasing over time. Nothing to do with the debt per se, but what does have to do with the debt and why Bitcoin rises every time they raise the debt ceiling, which is all just for show. They have to do this anyway. They just use this as a bargaining chip. Actually, Donald Trump wants to eliminate the quote-unquote debt ceiling, which would give the government technically an unlimited debt ceiling. It would not exist, but that's what we have anyway. That ceiling is just for show right now and for bargaining. But the reason Bitcoin is affected by all this, because it's just a reminder on how fiscally irresponsible the US government and central banks are, and how fundamentally different Bitcoin is.
Bitcoin is a non-sovereign, hard cap supply, global, immutable, decentralized, digital store of value. And that's a lot of different adjectives, but all of them are very important. And what that leads us to is it is a hedge against monetary and fiscal irresponsibility from central banks and governments globally.
And while the end of 2023 may be the more recent example, I actually think back at the end of 2020, would be maybe the closest example to Bitcoin to where we are today. Back here, we had an incoming new president. Of course, that was Biden, not Trump. We were coming off a recent halving. Right here, there was no new halving, but back here, again, we had that supply constraint coming off the halving. And again, debt ceiling talks were just the ultimate reminder on why something like Bitcoin has value. Also, crypto in general, in a much better spot into 2025 than any prior year in recent history. Ripple reportedly to donate $5 million in XRP to President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration per Fox, meaning Trump will hold XRP by force, by donation. And we know Trump, like all politicians, like to serve his donors. You scratch his back, you're loyal to him, he's usually tries to be loyal to you. Also, have you connected the dots on Ondo yet? Today, Kraken and Ondo donated $1 million each to President-elect Donald Trump's inauguration. Here was that exact piece of news. Ondo Finance is contributing $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration fund, backing the new administration's drive to strengthen America's global financial leadership through digital asset innovation. Founder and CEO of Ondo said this in a direct quote, "As the leader in the real-world asset space, Ondo Finance is dedicated to making U.S. financial assets more accessible globally through innovative blockchain solutions. By supporting this vision, we aim to be a collaborative partner in shaping policies that promote broader access to U.S. financial markets and enhance their competitiveness on the world stage." Ondo making moves. We also just got a huge buy of Bitcoin from the government of El Salvador just one day after the IMF agreed to a $3.3 billion loan in return for making Bitcoin acceptance voluntary. El Salvador buys $1 million worth of Bitcoin, more than 10x their usual 1 Bitcoin per day. Now, El Salvador is taking the IMF's money, a loan. The IMF said the only way we'll give you this loan is if you don't make it, you don't force people to accept Bitcoin, you make it voluntary. El Salvador said yes, but then 10x'd their usual daily buy. Recent news from gaming altcoin Xborg XBG from their CMO. Study relative performance. Last month, XBG was just below $200 million fully diluted value, and Portal and XAI were above $500 million fully diluted value. That was last month. Now, the market is tanking, but you can see how Xborg has caught up. For the next leg up, we'll target YGG and Carve. Xborg is aiming to be the top. They're going for the top gaming altcoin out there. Now, the reason for this growth, I believe, is number one, they are working with some of the biggest esports, traditional Web2 esports teams out there. But looking into 2025 will be super bullish for Xborg, launching 5 apps with top esports teams, first in real life event at NFT Paris, world's first on-chain esports team, fan app SDK and AI product launch, etc., etc. I'll keep you updated. And huge growth milestone for Aethir. This is the DeepIn revenue leaderboard, meaning which DeepIn project actually has real revenue and the most revenue. In a message from their co-founder, real business revenue has always been our focus, and it's awesome to see Aethir Cloud at number 1. In crypto, revenue is a poor predictor of today's token price, but a great indicator on what's to come. We're early, and the AI supercycle is just beginning. And looking at the DeepIn revenue leaderboard by deepin.ninja, we have Aethir above io.net, above Filecoin, Render, Akash, etc. And it's super interesting that even though these crypto coins have huge market caps, Aethir and io.net have much smaller market caps, but more revenue. Pretty interesting. Like always, see you tomorrow.